27th year in radio. How is that possible? 26, 27 years in radio. I have never seen something rip through like this. So hope everybody out there is doing well. I hope that you have been able to dodge this. I know a lot of folks haven't been able to. And if you haven't been able to, hope you've been able to get through it as best as possible. But we are back, starting the week off strong. We're still one person down. Producer Emily she was like on the very tail end of the people who got it here. It looked like she was going to dodge the bullet, and then she was one of the last people to get it. So she's still down and out. Emily, hopefully be back in studio with us in the next day or so, but she is getting better. And so producer Johnny
conveniently on Super Bowl Monday, too.
Right. You know what's so crazy is first of all, I don't really care about the Super Bowl. I haven't talked about this in a while, but I've talked about it a lot. I used to be a sports fanatic, like grew up typical, childhood athlete, played baseball when I was a kid. I played high school and football, I played high school and football. I played football in high school. Listen, just because I'm back doesn't mean there might not still be some lingering effects of this thing. I lost about 2.5 days of my life that I still don't know where they went. But yeah. And, was that kid that could tell you, the entire, not just the Cardinals lineup, but, everybody's batting average and what place every team was in the league. Same thing with all the hockey teams and the Blues stats. And for me, I grew up kind of between when I was young when the Big Red left, and I was already in high school when the Rams got here. So like my formative years, we didn't have a football team in St. Louis. So we all adopted teams, and I adopted the Dallas Cowboys. And so like I was a massive Cowboys fan, massive St. Louis Blues fan, massive Cardinals fan, loved college basketball and football too. Just loved sports, played sports fanatic. And about 10 years or so ago, like at the same time as the Ferguson riots, and we started doing like political demonstrations on the fields, and then that followed closely with kneeling during the national anthem with what's his name, the former quarterback from the 49ers, Colin
Kaepernick.
Yeah, Kaepernick. Then we had, Bob Costas has given, the country politically charged lectures during halftime on Sunday Night Football. And it all got to be too much. And then I sort of, Johnny's the producer of the Bluff City Outdoor Show. That was also when I was really getting back into fishing, sort of rediscovering fishing and being outside and, doing that kind of stuff.
Go outside, man.
And
we were touching grass before they were saying that.
And so all of a sudden, like, it just became way more important to me to try to get out on the water on a Sunday afternoon than sit in front of the TV and watch football all day. And when I first started that, like, I realized how much I liked it. Like, I realized how much I didn't miss watching sports.
Dude, I think it's really left the public zeitgeist, though, and just in general. Because I mean, I worked in sports radio off and on for a long time. I am not a sports guy.
Mm-hmm.
I only keep tabs on it if it crosses over into pop culture, and it becomes that big of a thing. I turned the game on late in, and I live in a rural area. I can't pick up anything over the air.
Right.
So I'm like, oh, my smart TV told me, oh, here, you can watch it. So I flipped it on. It was like the third quarter. I was like, oh, I missed halftime. I wanted to see whatever that shenanigans was, but Kendrick Lamar, perhaps.
Yeah.
Is that what it was?
Yep.
I wanted to at least get a peek. So but no one's rambling. I guess I didn't miss anything. There wasn't, I normally if I turn on my YouTube feed, someone's yelling about something. Oh, what did I miss?
We might touch on some of that later on in the show, some of the reaction to the halftime show and to the national anthem, because that in recent years, those have been the only things that I have tuned in for. Like, if there's been a halftime show that I particularly wanted to see, like the year that it was Dr. Dre and Snoop, and I like really
that was pretty awful.
Yeah,
that was pretty bad.
Yeah,
you know,
it wasn't as cool as I thought it was. It was cool to see those guys all together, but it wasn't as good of a.
So, as an outsider who completely didn't take in much of the game,
I didn't watch any of it, and not only that, my point was, I wouldn't have watched it anyway because I haven't cared in so long. I literally forgot it was Super Bowl Sunday because
we were talking about that the week before, and you had to Google it because we were here, and you were like, "Is it Super Bowl Sunday?" And I was like, "I don't know, man. Is it the off week?" And you had to Google it.
Basically down and out completely Friday and Saturday. Sunday I was better, but still, just still very, very tired. I'm still kind of, feeling the effects of being sick. But I forgot it was Super Bowl Sunday. How many people could say that?
We weren't. Well, I mean, I think part of it is too. I don't feel as we were inundated. Normally you're getting slapped upside the head that week. Oh, yeah. From every angle of advertising and big game this and big game that. And I didn't really. That's why I was kind of normally. That's what would clue me in. Is I'm like, oh man, I'm kind of getting inundated with that. Oh, I guess it is the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
But.
Totally, absolutely forgot it was the Super Bowl, which is crazy to even say that out loud, but I did, but have gone back and watched I watched the full halftime show, I watched the anthem, I watched the Donald Trump interview and all of those things.
So I saw some clips of that.
Thoughts on all of that as
someone who didn't even see it.
Mm-hmm.
Just a quick spin.
Yeah,
it's like get in my YouTube feed, and I'm like, oh, okay, here they're breaking down that what happened. The Trump appearance, Taylor Swift getting booed, and and then they ran through a couple commercials, and I should normally I'm a connoisseur of commercials, being that's my favorite part of the radio, and that's what I would prefer to do. I kind of watch it with a critiqueful eye.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't really care. They were like, "Oh, here's some of the patriotic commercials." I was like, I don't feel like being pandered to.
Yeah.
I'm going to check out from what I was watching. But I was like, oh, I was made aware that there were some patriotic themed commercials. But watching my local news feed this morning, I wouldn't have known that one iota.
Right.
One iota. Oh, they were telling me about the ones that highlighted diversity and something, and I was like,
right. Well, yesterday was a big day in America. And if somebody were to ask you, why was it a big day in America? And you said, because it's Super Bowl Sunday, that isn't necessarily the right answer, because yesterday was also the day that President Donald Trump signed a proclamation declaring February 9th, yesterday, as Gulf of America Day.
No, he's going to do it?
Oh, it's done.
Oh,
it's done. The executive order has already been written. It was written like a week ago. And now yesterday was.
Come on, do the IRS next. Do it.
Yesterday, he wrote the proclamation declaring February 9th, Gulf of America Day. As he flew over the recently renamed body of water on his way to the Super Bowl on Sunday afternoon, he put out a statement, quote, "Moments ago on Air Force One, President Trump signed a proclamation declaring February 9th Gulf of America Day while flying over the newly and appropriately named Gulf of America." This came from White House Press Secretary Carolyn Leavitt on X. Went on to say, quote, "Air Force One is currently in international waters, the first time in history, flying over the recently renamed Gulf of America." The White House shared in a video on X showing Trump signing the proclamation. So he literally signed the proclamation while flying over the Gulf of America.
Took your body of water. What you gonna do about it?
Signed the proclamation aboard Air Force One while
I can't wait to fish the Gulf of America.
Yes, while flying over the Gulf of America on his way to the Super Bowl, where he was. And I heard Mike Ferguson say this morning for the first time. I hadn't heard this, that Donald Trump was on his way to the Super Bowl when he signed to this. He's the first sitting president to ever attend a Super Bowl.
I heard that little factoid too, and I was kind of shocked by that.
That's crazy. Isn't that just sounds.
You would think it'd be, I mean, because
It's the Super Bowl.
Yeah, and
like
it's
America's game.
The event of America, or the World Series,
and they go to and presidents go to the World Series.
Never been. That's weird. That's
a
little weird.
I was surprised by that little factoid, but it was something that I learned this morning while listening to Mike Ferguson in the morning. So anyway, lots to talk about as we go through the day today. Donald Trump's Super Bowl interview, has stirred a bunch of reaction, especially when it comes to what he discussed when it comes to Elon Musk and Doge. We also have a very concerning development in the ceasefire agreement between Hamas and Israel that has unfolded in the last couple of days. We'll update you on that. Also, Donald Trump making news today, unveiling 25% tariffs on aluminum and steel imports. So we are going to get into all of these stories and more. And we've got a great group of folks to help make sense of all of this. We're going to talk to our big tech AI expert, Mike McCleary, just after 3 o'clock. We are going to talk to former show host here at News Talk STL, former Missouri Rep Paul Kurtman. He is going to join us about 2:40, and Virginia Kruta from the Daily Wire joins us next here on what is going to be a very busy Monday afternoon on Colombo and Company.
St. Louis's new choice for conservative talk, live and local.
I need to know what's going on in my city.
News Talk STL.
If you are thinking about buying a new vehicle, Weber Chevrolet is the place to go. Talking to Skip Weber on Wednesday of last week when he was with us for Closest Cabinet. We were talking about how not only at the end of the year, at the end of 2024, when all the reputation scores came in and customer service end of the year scores came in, Weber Chevrolet, once again, at the very top of the list across Chevy dealers in the Midwest. At the end of the first month of 2025, going into February, all of those scores once again coming in at the end of January, and Weber Chevrolet continues to dominate. It shows their dedication to customer service. So nobody's going to give you a better deal on a new or used vehicle if you need one than the folks at Weber. Nobody is going to give you more on your trade-in than the folks at Weber. And above all that, nobody's going to take care of you and that vehicle better than the folks at Weber Chevrolet for the entire time that you own it. That is why they have been in business for nearly 125 years in St. Louis. That number is absolutely crazy. You don't stick around in the same community for 125 years if you're not doing right by your customers. Shows that dedication to customer service and doing right by everyone that they work with. And that is why so many families, including mine, have trusted Weber Chevrolet with their vehicles for generations. So if you're looking for a new car in this new year, check out what's happening at all 3 Weber Chevrolet dealerships by going to weberchevrolet.com.
Stumped on the perfect Valentine's gift? We've got you covered. News Talk STL wants to help you paint the town red with your special someone. Enter our Valentine's contest at newstalkstl.com, and you could win an incredible prize package from the area's finest. Don't let Valentine's pass you by. Visit newstalkstl.com to register now. Brought to you by Newsteaders Fine Jewelers, Harry J. Steakhouse, and Papa Bear Popcorn.
Attention all gun enthusiasts, don't miss your chance to win an unforgettable Saturday with Gun Show Craig at the Gun Show Show's first annual machine gun shoot and tank ride. Simply by attending each of the 3 upcoming gun shows, Big St. Charles County gun shows in March and May, and the Big St. Louis gun show in April, you'll be entered into a limited chance to win this incredible experience. Shoot various machine guns, plus you'll get to ride in a real tank. Attend all free gun shows for up to 3 chances to win the Gun Show Show's annual machine gun shoot and tank ride. More info at bkpromotions.us.
Hi, Kirk Hilsinger here, and I'm the new chairman of the St. Louis Republican Central Committee. I invite you to our meetings that take place the first Thursday of every month at 3710 Hampton Avenue. You can stay connected with us to learn more about how you can get involved, make your voice heard, and contribute to our shared goals. Together, we can make a difference in the city of St. Louis and the state of Missouri. For more info, visit our new website at stl-gop.com. That's stl-gop.com.
Paid for by St. Louis City Republican PAC. Curtis Farber, Treasurer.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps in the afternoon.
Did Donald Trump and Republicans make everything great again over the weekend? We'll discuss with Senator Jim Talon at 425. At 525, Red State Headlines with Susie Moore.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps. Weekdays at 4 on News Talk STL.
Welcome back to Colombo and Company on 101.9 News Talk STL. Tony Colombo here in studio with producer Johnny, and as I mentioned, joining us on the line as she does every Monday afternoon to help us start off the week is our friend Virginia Kruta from the Daily Wire. And Virginia, as we start this week, as we even saw during the Super Bowl yesterday and Donald Trump's interview, and as I see from some of your latest articles at thedailywire.com, there's one person and one department that has both sides of the aisle absolutely lit up for different reasons, and that is Elon Musk is the person and Doge is the department. Donald Trump talking about Elon and Doge during that interview, that Super Bowl interview yesterday. Yeah. And I see on one of your new articles there at the Daily Wire, Doge is also a unifying cause on the Democratic side and something that must be stopped because eliminating waste is something that the Democrats will not stand for.
Yeah, well, and you know what's funny? I think it was I can't remember who it was that was on. He was on one of the shows on Sunday, and it was a Democrat. Oh, it was Cory Booker.
Oh, okay.
Spartacus,
yeah.
Head. Right. So he says that the Republicans are going to need Democrats' help when they want to pass their budget stuff, in the near future, which is true.
Okay.
But the way he said it was, it's a nice Doge you got there. It'd be a shame if something happened to it. The tone was, we're willing to put up to essentially cause a government shutdown and not do this budget thing if you don't stop taking away our toys.
And what's unbelievable to me is that they just it doesn't matter that they blame Republicans for the shutdowns, and every time there's the threat of a shutdown, they say, "Oh, your grandparents aren't going to get paid their Social Security. Veterans aren't going to get paid. All of these government employees who have families aren't going to get paid. Boo hoo!" And then now they're threatening
it.
Yeah, now they're threatening it. Yeah,
because Republicans, Elon Musk and Donald Trump, and pretty much 90% of the American public, if they knew what was happening, don't think that we should be spending taxpayer money to fund LGBTQ propaganda in Guatemala.
And that is exactly the point that that I was trying to make there. I'm still a little sluggish from the flu bug, but it doesn't matter. Much like the deportation policy of criminals that are here, people that have committed crimes since already being here illegally, which is also a crime. Polls show that Americans on both sides of the aisle are, in large numbers, very much for this kind of thing. Just like both sides of the aisle, all these polls show that Americans, both Republican and Democrat, are all for cutting wasteful government spending, but Democrats are so out of touch and just so clueless that they will still go on, national television, on interviews and press conferences, and they'll double down on their own crazy agenda that is so obviously not what the American people want. It's like, what is it going to take for the Democrats to realize that they're on the wrong side of so many of these things?
Well, Scott Jennings said this. I think it was one day late last week. He was on CNN and he said, Donald Trump's superpower is that he finds an issue that 80% of Americans agree on. Like, we don't want our daughters killed by illegal aliens. Or, we don't want trans identifying men taking our daughters' spots in sports teams and watching them change in the locker room. And he sides with the 80%. And then all the people who are reflexively against him have to take the 20. And so Democrats have like a 30% approval rating. Because they've been taking the 20 on all these really, really insane issues.
They take the 20 and then they double down on it.
They have to. That's the thing. They've already decided. They've told you for too long that Donald Trump is the devil, Donald Trump is Hitler, and Donald Trump is going to ruin our democracy. If they change their minds now, one, they have to admit that they were wrong, and that ain't going nowhere.
Yeah.
And two, they actually have to explain to the people why this is how wrong I was. Vote for me again.
So
they can't do it.
The terrible excuses or explanations that they've tried to give on some of these other issues, like the border issue, the border and the tariff issue, specifically tied together. Last week we made fun of Chuck Schumer a whole bunch when he came out and, he was like, oh, you think Donald Trump's doing good things with these tariffs? Well, you're not going to think that when you can't drink beer or eat guacamole at your Super Bowl party this weekend. It was just absolutely pathetic.
The talking points went out because Anna Navarro was talking about that, but she was just a little bit smarter. She mentioned the avocados and she mentioned tequila, because we all know that there's only like one beer that we import from Mexico, and that's Corona. And how many people actually drink that, honestly?
Yeah, I know that we get
outside of Texas.
Yeah, I don't know the numbers, but I know we get a lot of beer. I know there's a lot of beer that comes from Mexico, but it's just the whole thing is just a pathetic
better
stunt.
Beer here.
Right? Yeah, and we should make more. It's just a pathetic stunt. What is, if there is one that's been seen, what is the explanation against Doge? So at least I know it was pathetic and silly, but at least I saw the argument against tariffs. What is the Democrat argument against? Yeah, go ahead.
And there are too many, because they can't. There is no cohesive argument. Okay, because it's not a federal department technically; it's an advisory board. What they are is they are advising Donald Trump.
Yep.
Here's where the issues are. Here's what you need to cut. And then it's ultimately Trump's decision. Does he want to cut it or not?
Right.
So they can't really, there is no constitutional argument against Doge, because Elon Musk has no power. He makes suggestions and Trump either takes them or not.
Yep.
That's why they're having such a hard time getting footing under this one. But their main complaint now, and if you heard Sunny Hostin on The View today, she was complaining about the 25-year-old that goes by Big Balls and has some issue. Yeah. Did you miss this one?
Yeah. You know what? I don't know. I don't even really know what's real anymore, because
Did you maybe hear that in your sleep, Tony? You missed Big Balls? This is hilarious to watch.
Her complaint is that Doge, the employees that Elon Musk has brought in, the engineers that he's got working for him, range in age from 19 to 25, and they don't have any real work experience, and some of them didn't graduate from college. Okay. And she's like, what happened to meritocracy? I'm like, since when is merit tied to education and age?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, where are we going with this? Because I don't think you're going to like where it ends up.
No.
She was complaining because, okay, so the big thing that blew up this week is that the 25-year-old, the oldest guy on the team, had made some comments on Twitter that he deleted and somebody resurfaced them.
Oh.
So they were intentionally trying to get him.
Oh yeah.
That's
an entire industry.
About he had said something derogatory about Indians, not Native Americans, Indians.
Got it.
And he had said that you couldn't pay him enough to marry outside his own race, which, let's be honest, there are a lot of people who feel that way. Whether or not they'll say it out loud is a different thing. But there are a lot of people who would say the same thing, regardless of what race they are. That doesn't mean it's okay to say it out loud or acceptable. Anyway, so
also, did he say it when he was 16 years old? And
no, I mean, he didn't say it like within the last 6 months, but he's 25.
Right.
And, you know, I'm not saying that. So Sunny Hostin's other complaint was that you can't call him just a kid because he's 25 and his frontal lobe is developed. And then she complained, of course, because with her, it's always about race.
Okay.
She complains that when it's black boys, when they are kids, people pretend or treat them like adults or expect them to behave like adults. They said, so Michael Brown, the 18-year-old legal adult who was 6'4" and almost 300 pounds and accosted a police officer, we shouldn't be calling him a kid then? Because that's what everybody on the left is still doing 10 years after he died.
And those two situations are so not comparable in any under any circumstance.
So regardless, this whole thing is ridiculous. But so Trump let him go from the position and said, "Okay, this is bad. We're going to let you go." And then Elon Musk and JD Vance came out and said, this was a stupid thing he said. He deleted it, and we should not give a journalist a scalp for digging up something that he chose to erase because he felt bad about it.
Mm-hmm.
And we're not going to allow this to ruin his life. And with Trump's permission, they hired him back.
That was the saga of big balls. It's
Virginia, now I know.
Now, as a journalist,
he's not.
Did you hear what the journalist that exposed that young man, what her real story was? Former USAID worker who works for the Wall Street Journal.
Oh, wow. So she's got real problems.
She had a serious axe to grind.
She's got
a lot of conflicts going on here. So the whole thing was dirty, and that was why they hired the guy back. And so the complaint now is that all of these 19 to 25-year-olds can access your personal information. I'm like, these are engineers. Like, one of these guys built a program that decoded an Egyptian scroll that no one had decoded in hundreds and hundreds of years, right? If he wanted my information, he'd already have it.
Right. Yeah, I saw this. And also, Elon Musk owns Twitter. If Elon Musk wants to have, access to and underhandedly have access to the data of millions of Americans, he doesn't have to go through Trump or Doge to do it. He owns Twitter.
What about the Chinese in the Treasury?
Right. So, but the whole issue then is that, well, he can't have access to this. Well, then they get an Obama appointed judge to put the kibosh on Elon Musk and his access to the Treasury Department, saying, it's not okay for him to have access to this, that, and the other, whatever. JD Vance gets on X and he says, wait a second. A judge can't tell the attorney general how to prosecute. A judge can't tell a general how to wage war. They do not get to oversee the executive branch while it is carrying out its legitimate powers. And everybody freaks out and says, oh my gosh, he's saying that they'll defy the Supreme Court. Oh, you mean like Biden did? And he's like, no, you don't understand. He actually said it in the Post. While they are carrying out their legitimate powers. If they are carrying out their legitimate powers, the judge has no say. There is no need for oversight, and there is no need for a check and balance. You don't check and balance the guy if he's doing the right thing.
Yeah, it's just becoming
and
such.
They're making it about.
Yeah. It's just becoming such a clear and like almost panic situation. The more Doge makes headlines, the more Democrats are just absolutely flipping out about.
Oh, we have another story coming. You know all that bit about how many millions of dollars were spent on U.S. aid spent on Politico subscriptions?
No, please. We got just a couple minutes left here. Go ahead, fill us in, please.
Like $8 million they found in U.S. aid payments to Politico for subscriptions, like to subsidize subscriptions.
What?
So Doug Collins just got confirmed as the head of the VA.
Yeah.
He's saving the VA $180,000 this week by cutting off the Politico subscription.
Wow.
And that's the thing. The VA was spending $180,000 on Politico subscriptions. Why?
Why would anybody, first of all, if anybody working in the VA wants to have a subscription to Politico, why would that be an expense? Why would that be a write-off?
I heard when they lost their minds.
And then why are there so many of them?
Have you ever been in a VA hospital? It's terrible.
We have one. We like the Daily Wire. We have a Politico subscription. I believe.
Sure.
We have a Wall Street Journal, but we all access it.
Right.
It's so that we can read stuff.
Of course.
And we can keep up with what's going on.
That's one.
As a news media company, that makes sense.
Yes. Right. And that's one. Yeah. I doubt that it costs $180,000 a year for that one subscription.
I would bet we probably spend $1,000 on subscriptions in one way or another. But $1,000 for an entire company,
and it's also part of, and it's also, as you said, it's part of. We pay for news subscriptions as well. Of course we do, because it's our job to monitor as much news as we can. That is not the job of the VA. That is, that's crazy. And you know what? And I guess there you go. I guess it's uncovering some of these absurd expenses that Democrats have hidden behind and used to their advantage for so long. It's like when COVID started to go away. They scrambled to do everything they could to keep their money and keep their power that they had, gotten through ill-begotten gains. And this is I think that on an even larger scale. They see the money going away. They see all these underhanded funds that they had working for them for so long now being taken away, and they are just having an absolute meltdown, and I am here for it. Virginia Kruta from the Daily Wire, really appreciate your time as always. Great information, and we'll talk to you again next week, my friend. Thanks so much.
Sure.
That is Virginia Kruta from the Daily Wire. Check out her articles at thedailywire.com and on our website. You can see many of her stories there at newstalkstl.com as well. All right, we are going to switch gears. We're going to talk to former Missouri State Representative, former show host here at News Talk STL, Paul Kurtman, who now works in the finance industry. I'll talk to him about some of these other headlines being made by Donald Trump and his administration, specifically another announcement today regarding tariffs. Donald Trump unveiling 25% tariffs on aluminum and steel imports. I'm going to talk to Paul Kurtman about that and more next here on Colombo & Company.
Listen anytime.
It happens
Anywhere. Everywhere.
Every day continues to bring more news.
With the News Talk STL app. Keep St. Louis's home for conservative talk with you wherever you go. Download the News Talk STL app in the App Store or at newstalkstl.com.
If an emergency happened tomorrow, would you truly be prepared? Most Americans aren't. My Patriot Supply, America's most trusted name in emergency preparedness, is offering a special discount on their Mega 3-month emergency food kit. Each kit provides over 250 calories daily for 90 days. These aren't typical survival rations. My Patriot Supply provides delicious meals and extras, including chicken, beef, real meat, fruits, and veggies. Being prepared is a state of mind. Go to mypatriotsupply.com and take advantage of this $250 discount to secure your family's future now. If you order by 3 p.m., your order will ship within the same day, so you'll be prepared in no time. That's mypatriotsupply.com. mypatriotsupply.com.
Hey, it's Vic. Are you worried about rising taxes? Well, you're not alone. With government spending outpacing revenue, many Americans fear a tax hike is on the horizon. But here's the good news. You have options. Chris Cooper of Serenity Wealth Management specializes in tax-efficient strategies for income planning, legacy, and growth. Chris knows your money will go to one of three places: the government, healthcare, or your family and charities. Shouldn't your loved ones come first? Don't let Uncle Sam be your biggest beneficiary. Take control of your financial future today. Visit SerenityNowTax.com for your free copy of Chris's book, The New Holistic Retirement. Serenity Wealth Management, because you deserve peace of mind in retirement. Request your free book today at SerenityNowTax.com. That's SerenityNowTax.com to get your free copy of The New Holistic Retirement. That's SerenityNowTax.com. Serenity Now! With Chris Cooper.
Investment advice offered through Fortis Capital Advisors.
Nate Lucas here for the Village Bar in the heart of Des Peres. Since 1948, the Village Bar has been the go-to destination for delicious food, cold drinks, and unbeatable atmosphere. Savor their famous wings, burgers, and onion rings, or grab a drink from their fully stocked bar. Catch all the big games and enjoy the company of their friendly staff. Plus, don't miss the 1879 Distillery, a one-of-a-kind experience right next door. The Village Bar offers the best value in town. Find the Village Bar on Facebook and come experience where history meets great times. You'll be glad you did.
Connor Roofing, you can count on Connor. Connor Roofing is now a 2-time winner of the National Best of the Best Award for customer satisfaction for roofing, storm damage restoration, siding, gutters, both residential and commercial. Please visit ConnorRoofing.com for an estimate. And remember, you can count on Connor.
This hour of Colombo and Company brought to you by Gutter Pros. Water goes where we tell it. Call 314-656-7195 or visit them at gutterpros.com. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, 99.1 HD3 and newstalkstl.com.
Welcome back to Colombo and Company on 1019, 94.1 News Talk STL. I'm Tony Colombo in studio with producer Johnny. Big thanks to Virginia Cruda from the Daily Wire for joining us in that last segment. And now our good friend Paul Kurtman, former Missouri State Representative, current person who works in the personal finance industry. There's got to be a better way to say it. I'm still in a flu fog, Paul. So sorry about the lackluster intro, but thanks as always for being here, buddy. What a busy week.
Yeah, no worries about that, Tony. Flu's going around. My family is all getting touched by it. And I tell you what, that puts people in a fog. But PR Kurtman Investments, that's what I do. I own PR Kurtman Investments, and we manage individual investment portfolios.
There you go. Thank you. Much better in making that introduction than me. Wanted to start with this conversation, Paul, by getting your thoughts on another tariff conversation, another announcement regarding this issue made from the White House today. Trump unveiling 25% tariffs on aluminum and steel imports. President Donald Trump announced 25% tariffs on all aluminum and steel imports. He first told reporters on Air Force One about his plans on Sunday afternoon. And he said that he also plans to announce reciprocal tariffs or tariffs directed at countries that impose duties on U.S. exports on Tuesday or Wednesday. So it doesn't just stop at the steel and aluminum. He said, quote, very simply, if they charge us, we charge them. If they are charging us 130% and we're charging them nothing, it's not going to stay that way. Every country will be reciprocal. Your thoughts on this next step of Trump's tariff policy?
Yeah, that's really interesting. I tell you what, you can really see Donald Trump's strategy as he uses tariffs as an arm of leverage when he's negotiating with other countries or trying to position the U.S. in a better financial position. For example, by saying that we're going to introduce these reciprocal tariffs, that's kind of a very broad statement, right? It's just reciprocal. Anybody giving them to us, we're going to give them to them. Well, when he rolled out tariffs for Mexico and Canada, that's originally what Mexico and Canada said to us, but then quickly he let them know, no, that's not on the table. Let's negotiate another way. But now that we're not using these with Mexico and Canada in the same fashion to negotiate securing our borders, he's absolutely 100% doing exactly to these other countries what they had threatened to do to us by us introducing our tariffs. So I think he's moved into another stage of negotiation, and I believe that this stage is probably going to be designed for the economic betterment of our country, make it more costly for steel or aluminum to be manufactured outside the country, might just open the gate to start bringing jobs into the U.S. And those countries that are already exploiting tariffs on our end, well, two can play that game.
I'm so glad that you said that. It is exactly in line with the conversation that I was having last week with Crane Durham, because I was talking about some of the things that I was very much happy about, some of the results that Donald Trump was getting, specifically last week when we were talking about, the concessions made by Mexico and then by Canada to help at the border and in some other areas. And Crane gave me some pushback about how, he's more in line with free trade and doesn't want, would rather not see, this tariff war or tariffs being levied against us or, by us or against us. And I agree at the end. I mean, in a perfect world, I 100% agree with Crane that if I was king and I could just, have my way, it would be free trade, but that's just not the way it is. And for so long, the United States has been at a disadvantage. And if this is what it takes to level the playing field, or maybe even give us an advantage for once, then it's something that I am behind. If it could all go away, even better. But that's just not the reality of the world that we live in. And we just can no longer be a country that just allows ourselves to be taken advantage of by the entire world. At least that's my thoughts and understanding from somebody who doesn't have nearly as deep of a understanding on how all this stuff works as you. But your thoughts?
I'm with you on that. And I'm also with Crane. I don't like the idea of trade wars. And I don't think that it's a catch-all. I don't think that the growth, expansion, or contraction of our economy all boils down to tariffs. I think a lot of it also has to do with those things that have to go part and parcel to it. Look at all these OSHA regulations that have chased jobs right out of the country. So there's going to be another side of this. And I believe that this is exactly what Elon Musk is doing on the Department of Government Efficiency side. You can have this tariff battle. You can begin to do that. But on the other side, if you also begin to eliminate burdensome red tape and regulations that make it too costly for Americans to do business here, I think that that's just another part of the equation that Donald Trump is trying to solve. So if it was just in a vacuum, we were having a conversation about tariffs, I'm with I'm with Crane, and I think the three of us are all together on that 100%. But there's another side to this coin, and that's the damage that our own government has done. And this is just the tool that Donald Trump is using to begin to right-size government.
So, in having these conversations, in recent weeks and months with you and with Crane and with others like Mike McCleary, who is going to be with us in the next segment. He's our big tech AI expert, but also a business owner, a manufacturer. His company, local company Intervine, makes flashlights, lanterns, and headlamps, and is on the cutting edge of the technology with a lot of those products. And he and I have talked many times over the years about how there are some products that he can't even, if he wanted to pay more to buy from American companies or have, those products produced here in the United States, he couldn't, even if he was willing to pay more, because we're just not offered, because some of these industries have just been completely driven out of the country. You talked about how a minute ago, Paul, you touched on how this could be a way to bring some of those jobs back to the United States, make the United States competitive in these areas again, where countries don't have to, produce offshore, that there'll be benefit to have those production facilities and those jobs here in the United States. The one sort of lingering, problem that could, with this whole math formula that this is how long will that take? But if this is great that these tariffs on steel and aluminum and whatever, level the playing field and hopefully bring jobs back here. But in that meantime of bringing jobs back here, it could be a big, or at least a moderate boost in consumer prices as, these offshore companies react to the tariffs. What do you think about that? And is that a major concern for you, or is that something that you think, can be dealt with in a relatively short period of time?
Yeah, I think these issues will be dealt with in a relatively short period of time. And one of the main reasons is because a lot of these companies that would be experiencing getting the brunt end of these tariffs, well, most of them are public and they have to answer to shareholders. So maybe they think they could wait us out. Maybe they think they can pin all their hopes on the Democrat Party to sabotage everything Trump is doing. But I mean, a lot of these companies have to report from one quarter to the next, and they got to keep their shareholders happy. So I think that as soon as things roll out, they are immediately going to be looking for solutions. And I think that a lot of them are going to be basically flexing every relationship or contacting everybody that they have a relationship with in the U.S. inside of any type of bureaucracy to start negotiating. Okay, how do we either negotiate and get rid of this tariff, or how do we negotiate to start bringing these jobs into the U.S.? I think a lot of this is yet to be seen. I think that the media thinks Donald Trump is playing checkers. The man is clearly playing chess. He's already been able to score wins with the tariffs. And now his whole messaging on tariffs has completely changed in terms of this reciprocation. And so he's doing this in stages. And so I believe that as soon as it's brought out, I think 100% that we're going to see solutions to these questions that are being asked and need to be answered. I think we're going to see them within just a few months.
Got just a couple minutes left here with Paul Kurtman. There's been a lot of talk about Doge already on today's show, and that seems to be one of the things that really has Democrats in a tizzy and has a lot of Republicans getting more and more excited about. So I wanted to get your quick thoughts on something that Donald Trump said yesterday during his interview, his Super Bowl interview. He touched on Elon Musk and Doge, and like so many people have been calling on him to do, he actually said it out loud. He mentioned that Elon Musk, he's about to turn Elon Musk loose on the Department of Education. That could be the next major department that Doge looks into. What do you think about Doge to this point? And what do you think about the Department of Education being that next step?
Well, first on the Department of Education, I think that the American people need to brace themselves for what we're about to uncover, the carrot and the stick that the Department of Education has been wielding over school districts across the state to push progressive woke agendas. I know that even under the Barack Obama administration, some things became public in terms of saying you're not going to get your money unless you go to gender-neutral bathrooms and gender-neutral locker rooms. A lot of that quickly dissolved right away. The American people, they just weren't ready for any of that, but we've been inundated with that type of agenda now for over 10 years. And I think that Musk is going to find a lot of those carrots and sticks that are being used to incentivize or beat the parents of America. So moms and dads who are listening, get ready and just get ready and brace yourself, because that's coming. The other thing is on Doge in general, the Democrats are up in a tizzy. They say Musk is an unelected bureaucrat, but I don't remember any Democrat getting upset when you had the EPA fining a farmer $16 million for building a small livestock pond on his own property, or for the ATF making criminals out of all these law-abiding gun owners because overnight they decided to turn an article of weapons safety, a pistol brace, into a rifle, short barrel rifle mechanism, and immediately made thousands of Americans illegal gun owners that carries a felony. And so I think that Doge is doing a great thing. The American people need to fall down on the side of streamlined government, and this is our dream come true. We've been waiting for this for a decade, and we finally got somebody who's in there to do it. And you know what? He can't become the president. He's not going to run for political office. This might be a one-shot thing. So more power to Elon Musk. Protect our tax dollars.
Well said, and great stuff as always. Paul Kurtman from PR Kurtman Investments. Paul, thanks as always for your time, my friend. We'll talk to you again soon. And keep it here. We will talk to our buddy Mike McCleary, our AI expert, next.
Ignite Performance and Health is different. Mike Ferguson here for Ignite. This is a medical clinic and a private gym with real physicians and expert coaches who work together to ignite your transformation. They offer integrative nutrition coaching, private strength training facilities and coaching, testosterone and estrogen-based hormone replacement therapy, weight loss medicine. That's Ignite Performance and Health. Real change starts here. Visit IgnitePAH.com today. That's IgnitePAH.com.
I'm Dr. TJ, owner of the Institute of Natural Health, co-owner of Optimal Nutraceuticals, and the host of Wellness 101. Wellness 101 is designed to cut through the nonsense and provide you common sense, science-based information regarding health and wellness. On the show, we discuss topics like thyroid health, gut health, hormone optimization, and many others. Our show airs Saturdays at 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. and Sundays at 11 a.m. and 3 p.m. right here on News Talk STL. For more information, visit us at inhstl.com. That's inhstl.com.
Clint Black in concert. Clint Black, an incredible night featuring some of his greatest hits. Saturday, April 12th, 7 p.m., the Family Arena. Clint Black in concert. Special guests Ruby Lee and Emily Ann Roberts. On sale now at the Carroll House Furniture box office located at the Family Arena or Ticketmaster. Don't miss Clint Black.
Becoming a police officer is one of the best decisions I ever made. I'm Officer John Van Gordon with the Springfield, Missouri Police Department. Every day, I finish my shift knowing I've been given an opportunity to positively impact someone's life. I'm part of the team ensuring our community is safe and protected, and you can too. If you're mission-minded and dreaming of a career making a difference, visit gospd.com. Training Academy is starting soon.
Brought to you by the Springfield, Missouri Police Department.
KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Belfast, KNBS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at newstalkstl.com.
Breaking news this hour from townhall.com. I'm John Scott. Despite partisan criticism, President Trump supports the Department of Government Efficiency led by Elon Musk as it sets its eyes on gun pork to cut.
President Trump describes what Elon Musk is doing with Doge as terrific and says the next departments he will focus on are education and defense.
We're going to find billions, hundreds of billions of dollars for fraud and abuse.
Trump also tells Fox News Channel's Brett Baier that's what the American people elected him to do and that Musk is not getting anything out of it. The world's richest person has been criticized for a lack of transparency as Doge attempts to make massive cuts, some blocked by the courts. I'm Julie Walker.
A federal judge has temporarily blocked the Department of Government Efficiency from accessing Treasury Department records. A hearing date set for this coming Friday in the challenge brought by more than 19 Democrat state attorneys general. Also at townhall.com, Turkey's president dismissing a proposal by President Trump to rebuild Gaza by temporarily relocating Palestinians.
Turkish President Erdogan, during a visit to Malaysia on Monday, said, "We do not consider the proposal to exile the Palestinians from the lands they have lived in for thousands of years as something to be taken seriously." He said the government of Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu should look for funds to compensate what he said was damage amounting to $100 billion instead of looking for a place for the people of Gaza. I'm Karen Shamas.
North Korean leader Kim Jong-un says an elevated U.S. security partnership with South Korea and Japan poses a grave threat to his country. Kim's latest statement implies he won't likely embrace President Trump's overture to meet him and revive diplomacy anytime soon. This is townhall.com.
Heard me talk about Relief Factor and how so many people enjoy a better, more pain-free life because of it. If you're dealing with everyday pain, it makes sense you'd want to try it first. Well, Relief Factor makes that pretty pain-free too with their 3-week quick start kit for only $19.95, less than $1 a day. Relief Factor is a daily supplement that fights pain naturally. Relief Factor doesn't just mask pain temporarily, it helps reduce or eliminate pain. Visit relieffactor.com or call 1-800-4RELIEF, 800-4RELIEF for Relief Factor.
Drivers who switch and save with Progressive could save hundreds. With that kind of money, you could go big time and switch to the expensive shampoo with amino acids. Sure, you don't know what those are or why you need them, but it sounds very impressive. And if you switch and save hundreds, you can massage it into your scalp every day. Now, if only you can get people to lean toward your head to smell those aminos. Switch to Progressive and you could save big time. For shampoo, Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates, not available in all states. Potential savings will vary.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
Well, it's cloudy and cold, but dry today. The high temperature this afternoon closing in on 40 degrees. Overnight tonight, lows dipping down to around 30. And by tomorrow morning, we may start to see a little bit of a light mix in the metro area or maybe some light snow. As you go south of St. Louis, there's a little better chance of snow, but very little impact on Tuesday. Wednesday, however, could be a different story. Looks like the snow could be a little heavier with a couple of inches or more in and around the metro area, but stay tuned for updates. I'm KMOV First Alert meteorologist Kent Earhart.
This hour of News Talk STL brought to you by Piccadilly Palace, located in Union, Missouri. The ultimate family fun center is Piccadilly Palace. Call 314-860-6418 or visit piccadillypalace.com.
Fox News commentary.
Democrats defend wasting your tax dollars on pet projects like Sesame Street in Iraq. I'm Tommy Lahren. More next.
Trust and Will knows that we'll all eventually need a will. How about right now? Trust and Will makes creating your will easy, like while you're lounging on the couch easy. Trust and Will is designed by attorneys but customized by you, and all documents are state-specific and secure. Find your plan at trustandwill.com and use offer code RADIO now for 10% off. That's trustandwill.com, offer code RADIO. Trust and Will is an online estate planning service. Visit trustandwill.com for details.
I think even Democrats could read the room and national mood well enough not to defend some of the more ridiculous USAID expenditures, but no, they are quadrupling down. In fact, Senator Chris Coons appeared on CNN the other day and argued that, in fact, U.S. taxpayers should be proud and happy to spend $20 million to fund Sesame Street programming in the Middle East. Coons argued funding this kind of television teaches children in Iraq about values, public health, cooperation, and peacefulness. I hate to sound harsh, but as long as American children are struggling academically and reading below grade level, I couldn't give a hoot about funding cartoons for foreign and often hostile nations in hopes Big Bird will suddenly make them rethink that whole death to America worldview. USAID doesn't need reform, it needs a reckoning. I'm Tommy Lahren, and you can watch my show, Tommy Lahren is Fearless, at Outkick.com.
I think you're a little confused.
News, analysis, opinion.
I've got something to say and I can't hold it any longer.
101.9 and 94.1.
You won't hear the truth anywhere but here. News Talk STL.
News Talk STL. When you've got something to say, be heard loud and clear.
If they'll just do what they were voted in to do.
This party needs to get a backbone. They need to get some spine.
Join the conversation. St. Louis's place to talk.
The Democrats and the Republicans can give us all the lip service they want, but what they need to do is take action today.
101.9 and 94.1.
You have to take a stand
am sometimes.
This is News Talk STL. News, analysis, and opinion. Like us on Facebook at News Talk STL.
AI is kind of a fancy thing. It's, first of all, it's 2 letters. It means artificial intelligence.
That will never get old. And and you know what? As time passes, it doesn't seem possible, but this happens with all things. As time passes, you forget just how intense or crazy or just how far things went when it comes to anything. So as time goes on, we'll always remember that Joe Biden was mentally unfit and was a disaster as a president. But you won't remember until you hear clips, until you go back and watch moments of time, like when he shook hands with the Invisible Man or wandered off into the jungle. You know, like
the numerous times he fell down that I'm just laughing thinking about.
You won't, you won't truly remember just how bad it was, and you'll always remember that Kamala Harris was a word salad person that talked to the American people like we were kindergartners, but you won't remember just how bad it was until you
and a belief and some faith in what can be, unburdened by what has been.
Unburdened by what has been. How many times did we hear that? And statements like AI, when I'm going to explain AI to America. First of all, it's 2 letters. It stands for artificial intelligence. That's the level, Mike, that we can never forget. We can never forget that was the level that we were starting with with the Biden administration for 4 years. Mike McCleary from Intervine, our AI big tech expert, is on the line with us. How are you, my friend?
I'm doing great. I was sitting here laughing at that opening because you're so right. It's almost like going back now, knowing what we know, and watching the movie The Sixth Sense again, knowing what you know now, like seeing those clips of Biden before, a year ago,
right.
Wondering maybe he's just not feeling well. Now you know the full story, how it ends.
Mm-hmm.
It would be a totally different movie to watch.
That's such a great point. That's exactly right, too.
But I watched The Village not too long ago, another Shyamalan movie that, and I knew I was going to have, but I still enjoyed it.
Right,
It
right.
was
But it's a different
entertaining.
perspective.
Yeah,
it's
it
a different
was.
perspective.
Yeah, it was.
It's like if you go back and the whole time, oh, he's really all the way gone. That's different.
I'm curious if my son will look back at Biden the way I kind of look at GW. In retrospect, I feel bad for old George W.
Yeah, because he was a goof, and he
Totally.
got a lot of. There's still long compilations on YouTube of George W. Bush mispronouncing words. Yeah, really, really funny stuff. Kind of looking like a dummy, but in comparison to Joe Biden,
because my son's probably going to go, hey, remember when Biden said, la, 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 remember that? That was hilarious.
You're exactly right. You're exactly right. George W. Bush gets a bad rap, especially compared to somebody like Joe Biden. Mike, and in fact, it's funny, we're talking about this just to kind of highlight your point. Who was it? David Axelrod, I think. There was a headline today specifically about the Super Bowl and the presidential interview that Joe Biden didn't do last year for the Super Bowl, which was really strange, especially in an election. It was strange, one, that the sitting president didn't do a Super Bowl a Super Bowl interview, and it was especially strange because it was during an election year. So you'd think this is even more of a time for the president at the time to take advantage of that. And it was David Axelrod, former Obama aide David Axelrod, conceded yesterday that former President Biden skipping the Super Bowl interview in 2024 was a major sign of trouble for him, noting that President Donald Trump was all over it. And Mike, this whole article goes on to talk about, it actually quotes a whole bunch of big name Democrats in politics and the media, and how they were like, oh yeah, when him or his team weren't comfortable enough to let him sit down to do that Super Bowl interview in an election year, that was a big red flag. Well, why are you just now telling us?
I mean, it's free publicity. You have everyone there in a good mood, excited. It's usually taken pretty well, no matter which president is there.
And it's a
no one
softball
wants
interview
to be negative on the
usually.
Super Bowl day.
Mm-hmm.
It's an easy win. Now we can look back at so many things over time and kind of think like, kind of makes sense now.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't stop infuriating any of us.
No,
but
no.
does make sense.
And what they don't realize is that they are exposing themselves and how big of liars they were. And if they knew, if David Axelrod and I have quotes in here from Jake Tapper and James Carville, and there was a cabinet member in here that made a similar a statement, and more. I even cut off this article. I don't even have all the notes here. It just went on and on. All these big name Democrats who said, yeah, that was a big red flag when he didn't do the Super Bowl ad. Well, that was in February. You didn't tell us that he wasn't fit to run for office until June. So you're just exposing, not only are you admitting, the condition that Joe Biden was in, you're also exposing that you were lying to people. If you knew that was a red flag,
as
you
I
didn't
think
tell
back
us.
to this, it is scary. Like, I actually took my daughter. She's going into a med school interview this morning, and we're talking a little bit about politics. We don't really get into it that much, but she had a few questions, and I told her that one of the things that really concerned me was, what if something terrible would have happened sometime over the past 2 or 3 years? What if there would have been a major conflict we got pulled into? What if aliens arrived and they would have thought, this is our leader? Like, it kind of scares me, like what could have happened, because we don't know who was in charge. And I hate saying that, I'm an American, love our country, love so many things about it. But without knowing who was in charge, I feel like we have been at so much risk without even knowing about it.
Yeah.
And we should be infuriated about this.
Yeah. That is a perfect way to encapsulate just how important the presidency is, and the kind of real world impact it has. I was using the example of the wars that are happening, like with what's happening in the Middle East and what's happening in Ukraine. Just think about it. We all have, something personally at stake in these wars. But if you had, your sister or brother or a son or a daughter, over in one of these countries, in the military, who do you want in charge of directing, and having that impact on the lives of your loved ones? Who do you just trust as a person to make competent decisions? Joe Biden or Donald Trump? Like him or don't, love him or hate him, you need somebody that can think on their feet and make a solid decision quickly and move forward with it. And I mean, there's just no comparison to the condition that Joe Biden was in.
And imagine, I know we'll get to AI at some point, but what's so funny is how often people talk about how Donald Trump was not respected by the worldwide and international community. Look at him now. I don't think there's any argument to be made against the fact that he's the most respected leader in the world right now. Just by the way people are treating him, talking to him, wanting to meet with him, making concessions, that gives this idea that he was this clown that everyone was laughing at. That is not the case today.
No, not the case at all. Joe Biden was the clown.
Mike, I had heard Trump described in a certain way, and it stuck with me because I had a teacher like this. He was described as the teacher that you didn't want to mess with because you knew they probably had the capacity and the propensity to follow through with a very swift punishment.
Mm-hmm.
And that fear alone will keep 90% of people in line.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
That idea that, you know, like,
yeah.
you don't know. And I mean,
Peace
that's
through strength. I mean, that's not to be oversimplified, but it's that peace through strength idea that you don't even really have to, you don't have to flex your muscles or, you know, or show your might to keep the peace when you just project, when people know that you're the kind of person that's not going to mess around. It's not going to play games.
Well, and he's following through. Like, these tariffs are a great example. Like, so many of them already done what they want to do. However, when it comes time to enact one and it's going to go into place, it goes into effect. He may, take it away in a month or a week or whenever, once he gets what he wants, but he follows through with what he says. And he's one of the few politicians that when he says something, he means it. Like it or not, he means everything he says. He may use his words to get people going, which I think he and Elon have a lot of fun doing that. But what he says, he means. And that's refreshing to me to know that I can count on someone to say, whether I like it or not, what they're going to do.
Absolutely. And we've seen a lot of results in a short period of time. And that can, that's great. And we should be happy about that. And we should, be talking about and celebrating that stuff. But as we've also talked about, and it's important to remember, all of the people that created all of the problems, all of the people that created the bad policies and terrible political agendas that put us in the position that we were in at the end of the Biden administration, all of those people haven't just gone away. And they're not willing to admit defeat. They may be quiet for now, but they're not going away. And I think a story you had sent me earlier today is a perfect example of that, and it actually bleeds into the AI conversation and AI development. You can fill us in on this better, but there was an international convention that was supposed to be about putting guidelines and goals, I guess, on the development of AI that actually turned into a big conversation about DEI. Fill us in.
Yeah, so taking place today and tomorrow in Paris is the AI Action Summit. And so this is one of the summits where, the major leaders of the world get together and talk about important things. This time it's all about AI. What do we do? Because it's probably more impactful than, nuclear weapons when they came out, because it's going to have such a faster effect and more broadly effect on the entire world. And so the goal, so many people were hoping that, let's get everyone together and talk about how do we put some guardrails on this? It's moving faster than anyone ever thought it would. And we know there's risks out there. We don't want to put constraints on us so that we slow down too much, but there are risks. There are real world risks. We've seen them. We've seen signs of AI already doing some of the things, or showing hints of some of the things we fear, where it's trying to, get out, replicate itself, hide its true goal. These are very small things, but we're seeing those things out there.
Those are not small things. Those are not small things.
No, you're right. You're right. When
AI trying to trick us,
its own environment.
Yeah, AI trying to trick us to achieve a goal that we don't know about. And I'll never forget the first time you said that. The first time we were talking, and you said that AI tried to get out. I thought, that doesn't sound good at all.
It really did.
I don't like those words at all.
So that in case it got deleted, it could replicate itself again.
Yeah.
But those are all minor problems that's in the past. That's at least a week ago.
Okay.
So at the summit, they're supposed to talk about the risks that we're talking about right here. Those are great examples of the risks and the potentials we have with AI. But was that the focus? No. Their focus, and if you read this draft that got leaked this week, there's a draft of this document that they want all these countries to sign. I saw that Axios got a hold of it. Another site, actually, probably the Transformer got a hold of this. And the primary focus, of course, is diversity, inclusion, and they've mixed it up. It's diversity, inclusion, and sustainability. They want to talk about how AI can have sustainable growth for the planet. And don't get me wrong. Like, I don't know of any person, right or left, who doesn't feel like it's good to have a diverse workforce, who doesn't feel like you don't want to exclude people. No one's saying those things are bad, but they're not the primary focus. The focus right now should be on how do we make sure AI doesn't go off the rails and create a Terminator-like scenario.
Yeah.
And that was hardly even that's not even on the docket as far as I've seen from this leaked document.
That's insanity. And when you say they, whoever put together this this agenda, whoever put together the talking points of this conference, who is the they? Is it the people in charge of this conference? Is it a particular government? Like who is running this
Yeah,
show?
so the two groups that are co-chairing this event is France and India. So as you can imagine, France, pretty much that's how it's the barometer. You can tell if a war has really started. They've already surrendered. But, India's there with them as well. And they have put together this document. So there's other countries that got together and, added to it, but they're the primary co-chairs. They're the ones who put together this document in order to present it to all the world leaders right there. But gosh, I don't think the U.S. is going to even have a chance of signing off, and I don't know why they would. They probably were not going to want to sign any kind of agreement anyway. But now that they've seen what it focuses on, why would they? I think the UK has already publicly said that if the U.S. doesn't sign it, they're not going to sign it. So right there, you have the U.S. and UK unwilling to sign this document over the next 2 days here. So another global group consortium that's just going to be wanting money and not having any impact at all.
I feel like this is one of those issues that it requires the best of the best minds from across the world to really be engaged with, and that's the only way to make progress or try to do our best to make sure that we're evolving this technology in the right direction. And the world can't afford anything but the best minds in the world to be working on this problem. So therefore,
I agree.
Therefore you don't need any DEI regulations on there. It's all about, are you somebody that can help? Are you somebody that has the understanding to, to be a part of the team, to be a part of the group that's, making this technology or guiding this technology? There's no need to put those DEI regulations in there because it kind of takes care of itself. You're either
the last time I checked, the Terminator just wanted to kill all humans. Right. Didn't care anything about their social status or skin or anything. He just wanted to kill us all.
Right.
So let's solve that problem first.
Right. Yes. Yeah. No, you are. Yeah, you're exactly right. And that's this is a perfect example of what we can't allow to keep happening, because this is the kind of thing that does slow down our response to, a technology that's not slowing down. We've got to be able to, you would know better than anybody, but we've got to be ready to keep up with just the technology itself, because it's going to keep evolving and developing and moving forward. And if we're too busy playing politics in the background, then we're all going to suffer for it.
100%. And so it's my hope that unfortunately, I think the only way something like this would actually be of any use is if we take the lead on this. People hate when we take the lead because it seems like we're throwing our weight around. But I think we'd have to do that. We have to take the lead in order to bring the right people from the right countries together, combination of people in politics, academia, business, private sector, bring those smart people together who, like you said, can add to the conversation, see the potential threats, and come up with ways to combat the real threats, not the perceived threats, but the real threats. That's the only way that something like this is going to actually go anywhere. If you let some other groups around there who have completely different initiatives, not just from us as a country, but from the majority of the world. Like the majority of people are worried about AI taking over the planet. They're not worried about everything else right now. And if you have people who believe otherwise, putting together their guidelines, it's not going to do us any good. But I don't think we're going to take that risk. I think we're going to focus on ourselves first and come up with our own guidelines and make sure that America is at the premier cutting edge of AI safely, but yet make sure we stay on top of it.
Got a couple minutes left here with Mike McCleary from Intervine, our big tech AI expert here on Colombo and Company. And the whole show, we've been talking, every conversation has come back in some way or another to Doge. So let's hit for the cycle here and bring it up with Mike before we run out of time. As I mentioned with Paul Kurtman a little bit earlier, Doge was at the center of Donald Trump's Super Bowl interview. He sort of hinted at the Department of Education being the next big target for Elon Musk and the Doge department to look into. With Virginia Cruda, we talked earlier about the just continued, it's like panic. It's like sheer panic coming from the left, that this is like the Democrats are just in an absolute tizzy about everything and everything involving Doge and Elon Musk. They are doing everything they can to scare people or try to put a stop to it. We talked about how, a perfect example of that was, last week when you've got people like Chuck Schumer, going up with a can of beer and an avocado, like just trying to come up with anything they can, any embarrassing argument to slow down anything that Donald Trump and his team are up to. It's not working. It looks like the vast majority of the American people still on the side of Elon Musk and Donald Trump and support the idea of cutting all this government waste. Where are you at so far with the results and what we have seen to this point from Elon and Doge? Are you happy with the direction that it's been going, and are you hoping to see a continuation?
I couldn't be more thrilled. I mean, it's one of those situations where it excites me to see us finally having action taken, where so many of us, the vast majority of us, wanted action taken for so long. And it upsets me that it's taken this long to get here and to see the waste. I mean, we're really the tip of the iceberg. I know people use that, but for me, it's not so much the amount of money that's being spent. I want to see where that money went, and did it even go to the things that they said it was going to go to? Let's say that, we give up on whether or not, like, I wanted my money to go for this actual activity. I want to find out, did it do it? Because my gut tells me a lot of that money went back to kickbacks and started feeding this circle of funding. And I want to know how that happened, because every 100 days, the United States goes $1 trillion more into debt. Very shortly, it's going to be every 90 days, then every 80 days. And pretty soon, we're going to be in a situation with hyperinflation like we've seen in Argentina. And once that happens, our currency is worth nothing. Our world has no collateral to stand on. And that's where we're headed to. And there's no solution to that problem other than doing what we're doing right now. And so I don't know if people understand that. We're on a rail that is heading off a cliff if we don't do exactly what Doge is doing.
To your point, I can't figure out any other reason why the Democrats are so up in arms. Like, it's such a high level of panic. I can't come up with any other reason except what you just illustrated, is that they know that they're about to have all of their slush funds taken away, all of the money that they've been able to claim was going, to do one thing, that they've been using for whatever they've been using it for, power and influence and other projects. That is all about to be exposed, and I just can't come up with any other reason why they would be so dead set on stopping Elon Musk and stopping the entire, Doge initiative if it wasn't that. And I always say, if politicians are panicking, it's probably a really good thing.
It is. If any person with common sense, that like the vast majority of Americans absolutely believed that, that certain things should not be funded, certain should be. Like, we have common sense, and like, we're all pretty compassionate people, yet we've seen where this money's going. It's insane that when we're this far in debt, we're spending money there, and people wonder, why is this still happening? Why is this still happening? It's exactly because of what you said. This money has been funding this apparatus for decades in order to create this narrative that we're all wrong, that the common sense person is completely wrong. And now that we're taking that away, the truth is going to be exposed, and it's already liberating. It's just going to even get better.
Mike McCleary is our big tech expert. He's our AI expert, and he is the owner of Intervine, intervine.com, the great local family-owned business that makes the best flashlights, lanterns, and headlamps available on the market. And Mike, remind folks about that great offer right now at intervine.com.
We're going to call it the tariff offer, because if you use Tony, Tony, you'll save 25%, which is the exact tariffs that Trump is imposing on other countries to help them even the playing field.
You know what? You think he copied us?
Save 25%.
You think we were first?
I think he got it from us.
I think he got it from us.
I mean,
I didn't realize that until you just said that, but I think that he copied us.
This show is show prep for so many other shows, and also sets the guidelines for most of our government.
Yeah, well, there you go. I think this is, I think you're right. I think this is absolute proof. Use my name, Tony, Tony, as your promo code at intervine.com, and you get 25% off everything. The flashlights, lanterns, headlamps, even batteries in all different sizes. And that's all thanks to Mike and his great team there at intervine.com. Mike, great talking to you, buddy. We will talk to you again very soon, my friend.
Thanks, guys. Feel better, Tony.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much. All right, before we hand things off to the Tim Jones and Chris Arp show, got a little more to talk about. Speaking of the Super Bowl, I mentioned that there was a very interesting story out earlier today about how a whole bunch of Democrats said that they knew that there was something wrong with President Biden last year when he didn't do the Super Bowl interview. Very interesting that we didn't hear that from them until just now. I want to fill you in a little bit more on that story. Also, some of the reaction to the national anthem, the halftime show, and all of those things. I want to give my thoughts, want to get your thoughts, want to get Johnny's thoughts. We'll talk about that before we hand things off to the Tim Jones and Chris Arps show as we roll through Monday afternoon here on Colombo and Company.
If you have a phone, you have a radio. Download the News Talk STL app.
Just a convenience on the phone.
And listen anytime, anywhere.
For over half a century, Joe Bacardi's has been serving up a little taste of Italy right here in St. Louis. Family owned since 1971, we're more than just a restaurant. We're a local landmark. With 4 convenient locations, we offer something for everyone, from our famous pizzas to mouth-watering entrees and delicious salads. Dine in with a glass of wine or grab a quick carryout. Whether it's dinner for 2 or catering for a crowd, Joe Bacardi's has you covered. Visit joebacardi's.com and join our loyalty program. Joe Bacardi's, where every meal ends with buon appetito.
This is Larry Connor's commentary on News Talk STL.
Do you know how to eat an elephant? Stupid question, you're thinking. Just follow me for a moment. Musk, heading up the Doge project, is trying to find where all the federal dollars are being wasted or going to fraud. One federal agency in the spotlight, the U.S. aid program, founded by President John F. Kennedy, 1961, a humanitarian project to help poor people in nations around the world. That and the Peace Corps, all part of his inauguration speech. Ask not what your country can do for you, but what you can do for your country. That was then. This is now. The Doge early investigation finds less than 10% of the $43 billion for U.S. aid was being spent as intended. Under progressives, USAID had morphed into promoting leftist agendas, stupid ideas. An example, hundreds of thousands spent to buy condoms for the Taliban. That's where you could say the rubber hit the road. Waste, fraud, and that is in just one federal agency. How's Musk going to find all the waste and fraud in each agency? Back to my question. How do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time.
Get more Larry Connors on Larry Connors USA.
Tonight at 6 on News Talk STL.
Looking for a great place to watch your favorite game? Lit Cigar Lounge in Chesterfield. TVs everywhere, premium cigars, special beers, single barrel whiskey. You do not have to be a member. There's a good chance we'll see each other at Lit Cigar Lounge. Plus, we can order from Napoli Brothers Pizza and Pasta. Our order will be delivered to our table within minutes. Sometimes hard to decide, but always the right decision at Napoli Brothers Pizza and Pasta in Chesterfield. This is Larry Connors, and my favorite sandwich at Capriati's is a Philly cheesesteak with peppers, sweet peppers, but sometimes hot peppers. I love Capriati's, and so will you.
Open 9 to 9 daily on Manchester at McKnight in Rock Hill.
Are you a St. Louis small business owner looking to boost your brand? Blue Ocean Media Group offers affordable video production that packs a punch. From social media content to branded promotional clips, we'll help you stand out in the digital crowd. Professional quality, small business prices. Let's tell your story together. Learn more at blueomg.com. That's blueomg.com. Blue Ocean Media, big impact videos for small business budgets.
We received the news that nobody wants to hear. Your child has cancer. St. Jude made us feel that everything was gonna be all right.
Finding cures, saving children. Learn more at stjude.org.
The Allman Report.
Hey, Monday on the Allman Report, all the crazy, nutty stuff from around the weekend. You're going to love it. It's the Allman Report on News Talk STL.
Jamie Allman. Weeknights at 8 on News Talk STL. Follow us on Rumble at News Talk STL.
Welcome back to Colombo and Company on 101.994.1 News Talk STL. Busy Monday afternoon talking to Mike McCleary from Intervine, Paul Kurtman, Virginia Cruda from the Daily Wire. If you missed anything from today's show, or you just want to make sure that you never miss anything that happens here on Colombo and Company, make sure you are subscribed to our podcast, because we put this show out as a podcast right after we get off the air every day. We put it on basically every podcast platform, and it's the best way to make sure that you never miss anything. Just subscribe to Colombo and Company wherever you get your podcasts, and you'll never miss anything that happens here on the show. All right, Johnny, got a couple minutes left here. As always, there's all kinds of fallout every year from the halftime show, the Super Bowl. I went back and watched it. We talked earlier. I was, so out of it over the weekend that I.
So how hip are you
forgot.
on the musical?
Well, I'm very hip
there going on.
Yeah,
with
I know
Kendrick
all the
Lamar and
I know
whatnot.
all the stuff going on with Kendrick Lamar and Drake and all of it.
Oh well, yeah,
And-
that's right. You got the similar algorithm that I have. you know.
Yeah. And I also think that Kendrick Lamar is a extremely talented hip hop artist, maybe one of the very best in the world right now.
Yeah, he actually had caught my ear years before, and I had checked out of modern hip hop for a long time, but he had caught my ear
But
with one of those.
Not positive that it's the right fit for the Super Bowl halftime show.
No.
As
no,
a-
what
As a hip
happened
hop
to the
performance, it was
generic vanilla stuff for your Shakira or trot J-Lo back out there or something. She still thinks she's really like, I don't know. Like that's a little weird.
Has the Super Bowl halftime show just in general jumped the shark? Has it? Because will it ever be? You remember when Prince did it? That to me was the best. The cold Super
that one
Bowl
was really
Prince
good. That was really
in
good.
the rain singing live. When Michael
that was
Jackson
post
did
Nipplegate,
it
wasn't
was-
it? The Prince one was after Janet.
That's a great
or
question.
or is it have they all sucked?
I don't know. Well,
since
at least like when Michael Jackson, that was a spectacle. It was something. Are we just past that? I feel like we're just past that.
I think you
That
like
the
what
Super Bowl halftime
to
show
allude
is
to what you
not-
said earlier. I think maybe just sports in general, in a lot of ways, might have jumped the shark.
Yeah.
You may have just gone, and
just
we talk about this on the outdoor show, which is something that in my own personal battles is when you want to squeeze every last either competition or dollar or us out of something, and then you have now wrung out the authenticity.
Yeah.
It's gone.
That's a great point. And I think that I think you're right. I think that we've evolved so much that there's just nothing that can capture the entire country at at the level that it used to, whether it be the Super Bowl halftime show or when, when Muhammad Ali was the boxing champion of the world and was everybody, when the fights were on national television. I just don't think that level of attention can be achieved anymore. So trying to compare Kendrick Lamar to Super Bowl shows of the past is just not even a fair comparison. That's going to do it for us. We'll be back tomorrow. Riley is next, then the Tim Jones and Chris Harp Show.
To our brave police officers and first responders, we say thank you for risking your lives to protect us. To all the incredible volunteers who've joined hands with the David Dorn Foundation to raise funds for equipment and services, we extend our heartfelt gratitude. We stand strong with our volunteers who give their time, talent, and dedication as a shield of support for those who rush into danger. The David Dorn Foundation gives a big thank you from our heart to yours. Visit dornfoundation.com and join as a volunteer.
News Talk STL is proud to have Doug Voss of Safe Money Radio as part of our lineup each week. Doug has been a staple on the St. Louis radio airwaves for many years as one of the leading financial experts in the area. You can now hear Doug and Safe Money Radio 3 times every weekend on News Talk STL. But in case you miss anything, you can check it all out at DougVossSafeMoneyRadio.com. You could also reach Doug at 844-6766. That's 844-676-7233.
Doug Voss is a registered representative. Securities offered through DHL Securities, LLLP. Member FINRA and SIPC.
Who doesn't